RWBY Volume 8, Chapter 1, Divide has officially released, and I've forgotten pretty much everything that happened last volume, so this should be fun. Also, let me break it down for you. So the volume opens up with the villain squad. Cinder and Neo take a visit to Salem inside the whale because where else would you have an evil lair if not inside the stomach of a giant cetacean? Where Cinder proceeds to take credit for stealing the relic, which Neo doesn't like. And, might I add, Neo is far from home. Before, she was committing petty crimes, palling around with her good buddy Torchwick, things were fun and simple. Now, she's part of a cult, and I think she's recognized that as well. Cinder goes on to argue with Tyrion because she isn't capable of recognizing that he's got the chaotic energy of a small child who just goes around pressing everyone's buttons, where she continues on about how she'll obtain power, and the power will be hers, and she wants the power because that's her character. This show isn't turning anyone around until they give her, an actual purpose? Like any sort of backstory or reason for what she's doing. I don't think people are watching right now and thinking, this character who's just constantly talks about obtaining power, I'm really starting to warm up on her. Like, give her anything, guys. But then again, that was probably the Cinderella clip at the beginning where it just looked like a random woman was cleaning up the mess that was last volume. I mean, literally, I thought that woman was cleaning up the blood from that penny scene, but I'm pretty sure this is Cinder now because, Cinderella. She washed floors and was helpless until she grew up on a never-ending journey to obtain power until she murdered her family and all of the other princesses so she could have their princess power. That's the one thing I know about Cinderella. Quite frankly, I think they should have opened with the full backstory because people don't like Cinder already, so anytime you see her, it feels like an invitation to go get a snack or go to the bathroom. So I think they should have capitalized on making her an interesting character right out of the gate. But instead, we're greeted with this. Also, Emerald and Mercury are here, with Hazel. Apparently, they spent their free time shopping and getting custom clothes. You can tell that they're fancy due to the amount of belts that they have that aren't doing anything. But Cinder just dono walls them. Meanwhile, with our group of heroes, if you want to consider them that, Oscar has been hit by the financial crisis and has become part of the hobo life. This doesn't last long, as apparently Team RWBY chipped him when he was but an infant so he wouldn't get lost as they find him immediately. They're all taken to a secret base in an alleyway, not quite the space whale, seems like that's the only thing the villains will be winning this entire series, where everyone talks about how bad things are. They decide to split into two teams. Team A, which stands for Amity, Ironwood's initial plan to tell everyone about Salem, which they protested and ruined, but now decided that it's a good plan, but don't acknowledge that they fucked up and instead somehow still blame Ironwood. And the others want to help the people out. Quite frankly, this was a very good scene in the episode because it was really the first time the characters have pushed back against each other, showing their values on an individual level. Ren and Nora are on the saving the individuals in the now moment because they were orphans and it's semi-relatable to them. Ruby's on the saving the world thing because she's the main protagonist. And Jean actually being a good neutral leader, taking command and calming everyone down. If there's one thing I would change, it would have been to replace Yang with Weiss. It's great having Yang actually disagree with RWBY and not be like, OMG, you're so perfect. But I feel like Weiss would have fit the role better of saving the people of Mantle because it's her kingdom and she might want to change it. Also, everyone's been placed on a wanted list, including Oscar, who Ironwood shot and had plummet 1,000 feet to the surface below. But apparently he figured he'd survive this. So, good guy Ironwood. Speaking of Ironwood, his scene was kind of weird. It starts out normal enough, consoling Winter because of what she went through, allowing the Aesops to visit their fallen comrade, discussing strategy due to the difficult situation they are in, and committing cold-blooded murder because, as we all know, despite being a show full of colors, the one color that doesn't exist is gray. Either you're good or you're evil, and Ironwood is evil until he decides to become good, which will probably result in his death and or sacrifice or something like that. It really just seemed like the writers recognized that the majority of the audience was on his side last volume when he was supposed to be losing it, but no one saw him as doing anything bad, so now they've just jerked the wheel harshly and they chose to have him shoot someone, this time fully aware that they'll die. Like, in reality, there's no real defense for this action because unlike with Salem, this was fully within his control. If you ask me, doesn't really make sense for him to do so, but I mean, of course, Winter and the Aesops need to not be with Team Ironwood. They need to be on Team RWBY, because Team RWBY are the good guys, and they're the bad guys, and recognize that they are the stupid ones, while RWBY is the smart one. So how do you do that? Probably just murder multiple people in front of them. Lazy direction they have chosen to take Ironwood, if you ask me. On the upside, he did kill the one who did not have a great voice actor, so silver lining. If you ask me, he should have shot them both because in reality neither of them deserve to be Old Yellard, so if you were going to kill one, at least take the other one out. Quite frankly, it seemed like he had a grudge against the guy. In the end, I'm just happy I get to see Elm again, as well as Harriet's thick thighs.